For those who are new or unfamiliar with my content, I would like to give a disclaimer. Slow Damage has an extremely self-destructive main character, and his nonchalant comments about his lack of concern for himself does trigger my nervous laughter. If you'd like to view my content that covers darker and triggering subjects like this one, please consume it responsibly and know that this content is not for minors. I want to emphasize that if you experience any of the severe symptoms that Towa does, I highly encourage that you seek professional help rather than view this playthrough. Good evening. Good evening, it's probably good morning. Welcome back to Slow Damage Part 3. I can't count anymore. Welcome back to the next part of Slow Damage. Before we begin, doesn't look like you can hear it, but if you hear a bit of a like a buzzing kind of noise, I have to keep my fan on right now. I usually turn it off before recording, but my office is really hot for some reason. Don't know why. My actual room where I sleep is like super cold, but whatever. We digress. But welcome back. I'm back for part 3 of Slow Damage. In the last episode, we finally discovered the mystery artist, but is this mystery artist the person who kidnapped us and also made some strange gash on Towa's arm? Let's find out today. Tonight. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Either way, let's get to it. Let's load this file. Okay. Oh yeah, I made a spare just in case. Okay, let's load it, baby, in case I press delete one day. Because that would happen to me, honestly. Okay, but I hope everyone's been having a good month so far. Whichever month we're in when this airs. Oh, I'm terrible. Okay. Back. We're back again. The next day. Oops. Technically, I was scheduled to work the morning shift, but I didn't wake up until minutes beforehand. Considering Taku didn't come to wake me up, I was ahead of schedule by my standards. True. True. An hour after the clinic opened, I finally arrived downstairs. There, I found Arimura doing my job. He let me take his place, glaring at me all the while. If I followed my usual dull routine at work, and then in a blink, lunchtime rolled around. Oh. Hey! I heard a soft voice and looked up. Standing there was Igina, holding some kind of basket. He sounds so pleasant, but he's got some, not red flags, maybe a little because this is nitro+chiral, but he's got some death flags on him or something. Like, even if it's not death flags, like, he got like bad signals hovering. You know what I'm saying? Oh no. His lips curled in a giddy grin as he spoke under his breath. Reflexively, I inclined my head slightly. Is it from you? As he spoke, he raised the basket in his hand for me to see. Inside were small purple flowers. Oh wait, so... Wow, I just had like whiplash. I must have blacked out or something. I don't. I thought Ikuina was the one giving the flowers, but Ikuina is just the artist. So the flower anonymous dude is a different person? Fascinating.
Hi.
He shot me a guilty look. The clinic had now received 3 different bouquets. I rose to my feet and accepted the basket of flowers along with the payment slip. As I did, I caught a hint of a peculiar scent, one I'd smelled a few times before. For a moment, it reminded me of the absinthe I drank at Roost. I'm Shakespeare. I drank at Roost, but it wasn't quite the same.
実は今日診察もお願いしたいと思って来たんです。
Ikuina? This is not a certain website, okay? This is a clinic. this is a medical clinic. Okay? You better actually be here for medical services, not medical services. You know what I mean? We're an establishment, an actual establishment of medicine. Okay? Sounds stupid. Even Towa is just like medical. What are you talking about?
怪我をしてしまって。
Accidentally? Or you just injured yourself? Wait. Oh no, did the homie catch him? Sorry, I'm terrible. He rolled up his sleeve to reveal a white bandage.
転んだのか。硬い茎を切るときに手が滑ってハサミで切ってしまって。
Sus.
うちを受診するのは初めて。
はい。
Okay. I set the basket of flowers on the counter, picked up a pen and a clipboard bearing our new patient form, and handed them to
こ
him.
の紙に記入を。
He took the form and sat down on an empty bench to fill it out. Just then, Ray appeared at the end of the hall. He wasn't scheduled to work today, but he didn't have plans, so he came to help regardless.
あら、何そのカゴって、もしかして。
ああ。
Uh-huh. yeah. He pulled the basket close and frowned down at the
また
contents.
匿名希望さんからなのね。これで3回目。
I want to know who Mr. Anonymous is too, you
も
know
し
what
か
I'm
した
saying?
ら LINE した時に自分が送った花が飾られているのを見てテンションが上がってみたいな感じで続いちゃってるのかしら。
I mean, you should know that if you do that, it does create. Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna do a quick TED talk here, like I always do. So whenever you receive flowers, you know, the best thing you could do for a person to think that you like them, right? You put the flowers in a place where everyone can see. Right, so then if the person comes and sees it, they're gonna be like, oh, they must love the flowers because they're there on the front desk and blah 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 blah. So Ray being like, well, does he think it's like it's encouraging him? Duh, it is Ray. Even accepting them means you're encouraging it because, you know, I mean, you either take it and they just keep doing it, or you can say like, I'm not taking it anymore and just return it to the flower shop. Kind of vibes, you know what I'm saying? This is how you develop poor attachment to people who are strangers. It's weird. It's like it borderlines. This is the fine line between developing a stalker and just being nice. They're very fine lines, you know. So anyway, let's continue. I'm just saying, if someone gives you flowers once, okay. But if they continue to do it, and you don't, you begin to become uncomfortable, it's best to just cut it off before you have a situation on your hands. Okay. Anyway, let's go.
花は可愛いけど。
Excuse me, sorry. I went to read. With a strained smile, he admired the blossoms.
この花、パンジーね。とっても綺麗な紫。
Pansy. Oh, pansy.
花言葉は。
I'm sorry, I thought he said pangina for a second. As in like the as in the contestant from RuPaul's Drag Race who is from Thailand. Very famous, very amazing performer, but I really thought he said pangina for a moment, but he said panji, as in like pansy. I'm going through it.
確か思慮深いとか物思いとかそんな感じだったかしら。
Thoughtful, pensive. Interesting.
パンジーってもっとロマンチックな花言葉だったような気がするんだけど。とは知ってる？
Why are you asking him, Ray? Towa isn't like lucid half the time. Why do you keep asking? Like, I love Ray. I just like reading him. Exactly. Why would Towa know?
そうよね。
あなたのことで胸がいっぱい。
Oh? Oh? Okay. Great pickup line. I turned up the sound of the quiet voice. Ikuina was standing there, clipboard in hand. Evidently, he had finished filling out the form. Ray and I exchanged a glance. Then Ikuina smiled bashfully.
すみません。紫のパンジーの英語の花言葉です。話が聞こえてきたからつい。
Yeah, ask the flower man,
びっ
okay?
くりした。愛の告白かと思っちゃったじゃない。でもすぐに花言葉が出てくるなんてさすがは花屋さんね。
Ray's acting all shocked. He's like, I thought you were confessing. I'm like, girl, why the hell? Why would he confess? It's like he's obviously here for Towa, Ray. You know, I know you're popular and all, but you need to calm down. No, I'm just joking. Oh boy. He fumbled shyly in response to Ray's flattery. I shifted my gaze to the purple flowers in the basket. You're all I can think about. Ooh! That was the significance of purple pansies. Gerbera, sublime beauty, geranium, I'm happy that you're here. You're all that I can think about. I'm happy that you're sublime beauty. Fascinating. When you put all three together, it really started to feel like a passionate message. Almost like the sender was madly in love. These anonymous gifts each secretly possessed deep significance, almost like a cry for help. Of course, it wouldn't be unreasonable to dismiss it all as a coincidence. But I sensed someone's gaze and looked up. Lena was staring straight at me. And like last time, there was a feverish look in his eyes. The smoke that rose up from him took on a faint red tint, swaying endlessly. He was the only one who knew what the mystery center looked like. Conversely, no one else knew except him. Gerberas, geraniums, pansies. Why didn't they pick another G flower? Sorry, triple G. Ikuina had delivered all three. Then I remembered the blue rose he gave me. Blue roses, dream come true.
これお願いします。
So if it is it not him, if it's not him, like I'll be surprised. Like, you know, if they lead this in some other way, but I'm just like, I mean, it would make more sense if it was him and he was just pretending, you know. He offered me the clipboard holding his completed form, all without once breaking eye contact. You're acting weird. You're acting weird. Stop that. Nothing good is gonna happen. I can feel it in my soul. For a few seconds, we stared at each other in silence. Then I took the clipboard.
イクイナさん、診察を受けるの？
はい。少し怪我をしてしまったので、
Slightly, he says. His upper arm is like
あらやだ
bandaged.
大丈夫呼ばれる
Oh,
ま
it
で
blinked again.
椅
It
子に
blinked
座っ
again.
て待っててね
Every time the screen blinks, I'm just like, I'm always like looking at the words.
はい。
それじゃ花は預かるわよ
Ray took the basket and the payment slip and walked off down the hall. I stared at my work screen, feeling Ikuina's gaze boring into me. I thought back to the night that I encountered him at the Roost. I couldn't prove it, but my gut was telling me something. He's weird, Towa. He's weird, right? Like he's acting a little funny. He's acting a little silly, if you know what I mean. When it was time for his appointment, Ikuina went into the exam room, then he returned to the waiting room 10 minutes later. He's watching me again. I could feel it without even looking up to confirm. Ikuina was staring at me. Pretending not to notice, I kept working. Then it came time for Ikuina to pay his bill.
生稲さん生稲隆さん
Ikuina stood up and walked to the reception counter. When I looked up at him, he gazed back at me intensely.
1070円になります
トワさん。
Oh boy. As he placed his cash onto the receipt tray, he spoke to me in a breathy whisper.
本当は今日作品を作ろうとして失敗しちゃったんです。これ。
You know, this game does one thing for me. It reminds me how weird artists are. And I always remember. Listen, I'm included. Okay. We're a little whoopty in the head. You know, you kind of have to be an artist. Any kind, actually. And, you know, I always remember the words of my dear dance teacher. She was just like, if you guys go to a non-art higher educational institution, make friends with normal people. make friends with normal people. Because she was like, because artists are weird. And she was an artist too. She understands it, you know. But, you know, we all know that deep inside. You know, we know our people the best, if that makes sense. Everyone's gonna read me. They're gonna be like, what are you talking about? Continue with the BL. I'm just saying, okay. That's why Ikuina got some red flags, death flags, weird flag, all kinds of flags, and it's a nitro+chiral game, so I am always suspicious of the first man that shows interest in our protagonist or any kind of like vibes going on. I'm sus. 24/7, 365. Okay? Let's continue. I can't. He rubbed his harm. That was a Freudian slip. He rubbed his arm as he spoke.
結構ざっくりやっちゃったんですけど、後が残ったりするのかな。トワさんみたいに。
You're weird. Apparently, this was Fraise talking. He spoke as if this was some accident, and yet his voice carried a hint of glee. Almost like he was hoping for a scar. Back at Roost, he kept staring at mine, with a hungry look in his eyes, now that I thought about it. Clearly this guy was into scars. That's so creepy. Or was he just curious about them? Most people just like the aesthetic. I had no interest in those people. So which one was he?
お大事に
He said bye. Once he finished paying, I spoke in a cold, steely voice.
それから花もいらない
He gasped and furrowed his brow. Then he turned on his heel and strode out of the building. With this, my suspicions were confirmed. Yeah, absolutely. It has to be him. That makes no sense. The anonymous flower sender was Ikuna. And all the flowers' secret meanings were directed at me, the artist, Euphoria. I couldn't stand roundabout methods like his. Normally I'd cut ties over it, but not this time. He was Fraise, the artist behind the wound photo. And I couldn't deny he had potential as a motif. As Euphoria, I captured humanity's darkest desires on my canvas. He's so edgy. This is definitely a nitro+chiral game. Sorry. And there was at least a chance that he might secretly fit the bill. Therefore, I decided to keep an eye on him for a little longer. Slow damage. The purple pansies were the last anonymous flower delivery we received. Ikuina, or Fraise, was nowhere to be seen. Oh boy. Instead, he started submitting a lot of art pieces to the fourth face. While images were brighter and more powerful, they were all kind of samey. Ooh, ouchie. Still, he was moving in a positive direction. If this was a direct result of me rejecting him, then perhaps this was a prelude to the real deal. Once all traces of Ikuina vanished, I went back to my regular, slothful life. Fascinating. Oh. That day, I drifted in and out of sleep until well past noon. Then the door flew open and Taku ran in.
Towa, 起きろ! 手伝え!
Oh, I wasn't scheduled to work today, so it had to be an emergency. Oh no. I got dressed and headed down to the first floor. Oh no, okay. When I entered the exam room, the first thing I heard was a man groaning. Not another gangster.
痛い、触らってやがったよ。
触っちゃダメよ。おとなしくしていて。
Ooh. It was a small-time gangster in a cheap, brightly colored stained red around the midsection. He was lying on the exam table, grimacing in pain, while Ray examined his wound.
あ、ほら、先生が来たから。もう大丈夫よ。
You're gonna be alright, fam. You're gonna be alright. You're gonna be alright. Okay, I saw the blinking again. I was focused. I was slightly focused. Relieved, Ray backed away from the patient, and Taku immediately started treatment.
有村君には今、受付に入ってもらってるから。
Okay. Ray whispered as he walked up beside me.
俺より有村がこっちを手伝った方がいいんじゃないのか。
That's the truth.
今いつものおじいちゃんに捕まってて抜けられないのよ。とはじゃ対応できないでしょ。
Who's that? Who's who? Oh, Ray was referring to an elderly patient who would demand an explanation for his prescription every time he went up to pay for his treatment. I'm gonna bite my tongue about what I was gonna say about that. Of course, Taku always gave him this information during his appointment, but he still questioned everything. I dealt with him a few times myself.
傷が結構深いな。デスマッチか。
Yeah, is it? Taku had opened the man's shirt and was now carefully examining his injury.
そうなんですけど。
Kinda, but not exactly.
別にはちょっと違うっつうか。
Oh, he changed to injured.
どういう？デスマッチでボコボコにされて。エリアの外へ逃げたんです。
Oh boy. Okay.
途中で限界が来て、道端でひっくり返っちゃ
I
って。
got beat.
そのまま意識がなくなって、目が覚めたら誰かが近づいてくる気配がして、それで俺をボコったやつが追いかけてきたんだと思って逃げようとしたら、すっげえ腹が痛くて。切られた傷が。はい。もう本当に死ぬかと思いました。起きたら腹が切れてるし、血は止まらないし、痛いしで。
Fascinating.
パニックになっちゃって。
Bless you. Ray and I stepped in as needed, following orders as Taku gave them.
よし、終わったぞ。
Once Taku finished treating his patient, he rose from his stool.
痛み止めと抗生物質を出しておくから、最後まで飲み切るように。
Take all of the antibiotics. That is an issue. I hear a lot of the time people don't take their their antibiotics when that's the most important medication besides like the pain medication, etc. The patient was still grimacing in pain, but his condition was much more stable. Taku shot a pointed look at me and Ray, then left the exam room. The two of us followed suit.
昨日と一昨日も酔っ払って外で寝てたら怪我をしたっていう患者さんが来た。
Yes, yes. Love this subplot.
最近多いわよね。水鏡な女神だっけ？妙に噂になってるやつ。
それは解放する方だ。今回は言うなれば。
Yeah.
先まで。
You're like, no, that's the good one. This is the bad one. Ray squinted back at him dubiously.
え？じゃあ水鏡な女神さんは切り裂き魔にやられた人の怪我を治してるってこと？
Interesting.
全員
Interesting.
が同一犯にやられたという断定はできん。模倣犯という線がある。
Ooh, yeah, true. If you watch enough true crime, you'll know that's a very common thing as well.
水鏡が都合よく通りかかって直してくれるわけでもないだろう。
Mood.
それは確かにそうだけど、トアの時は手当てされてたのよね。
Towa's a little different, okay?
あ
He's the protagonist.
手当てされた人は全員意識を失ってる間に怪我をしている。
yeah.
全てが同一犯じゃない可能性はあるけど、怪我と手当てがセットになってるパターンが確実にあるのよね。
Yeah.
でもそれっておかしくない？手当てされてる人もみんな覚えのない怪我をしてるわけでしょ？覚えがないってことは意識を失ってる間に傷つけられたってことよね。じゃあ意識がある状態で怪我をした人が水鏡な女神らしき人に手当てをしてもらったって話はないのかしら。
Be true.
もしそんなことがあったら女神さんの具体的な目撃情報が出回るはずだな。
でしょ？でもそういう話は全然聞かないのよね。ってことはもしかしたら気を失わせて怪我をさせる人と手当てをする人がい
Yeah, they
る
could
とか？
They could be busting together, you know?
さすがにそれは考えすぎだろう。そもそもなんでそんなことをする必要がある？
Taku, there are weird people out there. I don't know why you're questioning this.
何か目的
You in the
があ
Wild
るとか
West. Or should I Wild East? Because we're in Japan. Cat. Yeah, what what do you get? Okay.
そっか。
I don't think so, Ray. I believe you. Okay. No, I believe you. You know, you're going somewhere. Don't you worry. You're on the right track, okay? The conversation ended there, and we went back to the exam room. After the man left the clinic, Ray and I cleaned up the exam room.
水鏡な女神と切り裂き魔。トアはどう思う？
Towa does not care. I'm sorry. It was the first he'd spoken in quite some time, so clearly he was hung up on it.
さあな。
もうちょっとは考えてよ。自分の身に起こったことじゃない。
Ray,
言われても。
Towa has like so little in him, okay? I will say though, bless Ray for not even though he kind of gets like a little exasperated, he's always just like, but Towa, you know, it's like, oh, what do you think, Towa? It's like, you know, at least there is that, you know. Grumbling, Ray started to tie up the garbage bag. Just then, I caught sight of a discolored flower stem. The anonymous bouquets had withered and died.
そういえば、匿名希望さんの花止まったわね。
あ
Yes. He tied the bag up tightly.
イクイナさんも全然見ないし。匿名さんからの花が連続して届いた時は
He didn't care about you, Ray. It wasn't about you. It wasn't about you. Don't worry. Don't you worry, honey.
が来なくなると それはそれで少し寂しいわ。
They weren't for you. They weren't for you.
わがまま
It's
だな。
okay. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Don't worry, Ray. It wasn't your fault. Okay.
本当にね。生稲さん、今時珍しい爽やか青年で。
Then why don't you just smooch it? Sorry. I'm so terrible. Oh, goodness. His face lit up like he thought of something brilliant.
生稲さんが働いてる花屋に行けば元気かどうかわかるじゃない。
Is that a good idea?
そうだな。
Is that truly a good idea, Ray?
とは行ってきてよ。
Ray is an example of do not do it, Ray. You are too nice and you need to catch the hint. Sorry, I'm just joking. He's a sweetie
なんで
bee.
俺が
But Lord have mercy, Ray needs to know when to. He needs to catch up. You know what I'm saying? I looked at him
行
reproachfully.
ったことあるでしょ。
場所くらいすぐにわかるだろ。
Towa's like,
俺
please.
は私の勘なんだけど。
Oh, Ray, come on. He fixed me with a meaningful grin.
生稲さんってとわに興味あったんじゃないかしら。診察を受けに来た時
I'm
も
glad that Ray at
Towa
least
のこと
caught that. You know what I'm
どう見てたし。
saying? Apparently, Ray was paying attention. I've just been making fun of him this whole time. It's like, oh, apparently he was
あ
paying
いつはフ
attention
レーズだよ。
because he's Fraise.
フレーズ？何それ？
Oh my gosh,
ル
Ray
ースト
does.
のブログに載って
You
たな。
remember the wound
She's
photo
not
posted? The place you work at, your job.
ああ、うん。あのリスカ画像みたいな。
あの画像の作者だ。
え？嘘？
So, he yelped in surprise, then hastily lowered his voice.
ちょっと、なんで知ってるのよ。
Ray, you're on chapter 5. I need you to be on chapter 12.
ルーストにあいつが来た時、店長に紹介されたんだよ。
そうだったの？もっと早く教えなさいよ。
He hissed quietly, then
あ
paused.
れ？それじゃあ、生稲さんはもともとルーストを知ってたってこと？
多分な。ユーフォリアの絵が好きらしい。
え、そうなの？それならやっぱり生稲さん、トワのことを気に入ってたんじゃない？
Come on. Ray pointed at me with a playful smirk.
なおさら、トワが花屋に行った方がいいわよ。
We are not getting with the homie.
どうして？トワもあの傷の画像気になってたんでしょ？
Ray, no,
うちに
no,
匿名で花を送ってたのはイクイナだ。
え？
He blinked at me, wide-eyed.
そうなの？
多分な。
もし本当に生稲さんが送ってたんだとしたら、
Well, you see,
配
Ray,
達しなくなったのはどうしてかしら？
your homeboy
花はいらないって言ったからな。
took matters into his own hands.
え？いつ？
この間、あいつが来た時。
いらないって。送ってたのが生稲さんかどうかまだはっきり分かってないのに。
ほぼ間違いなく。
99%.
あいつだよ。
Close enough, close enough, close
でも
enough.
確定はしてないわけでしょ？
It's close
なの
enough,
にそんな
Ray.
こと言っちゃったの？
It's close enough.
実際来なくなっただろ。
Made it work. Hit it wrong. He looked at me in disbelief. Then his expression contorted in anger. Ooh, ouch.
とは、それ謝ってきた方がいいわ。
Apologize for what? He was being weird and stalkery.
生稲さんってトワの絵が好きなんでしょ？なのにそんな突き放すような言い方されたら、花を送ってなくたってショックを受けるわよ。トワがどんな風に言ったのか、
Ray.
大体想像できるもの。
Ray's too nice. I'm like, Ray, homeboy was like essentially a stalker. Like, you know.
もし本当に生稲さんが花を送ってたんだとしたら、なおさら悪いわ。
Ray. Oh my
匿名
gosh.
はびっくりしたけど、別に悪いことじゃないし。
Ray's the homie that like, you know, he'd be like, oh, I had no idea that this person was like stalking you. And it's just like, we saw him following us like 10 times for the past week and a half. Like, I...
前から言ってるけど、トワは他人に興味がなさすぎるの。だからそうやって軽率に人を傷つけちゃうのよ。
Ray, he doesn't care.
あいつは
I stopped short. I was going to give Ray more details about Ikuina, but on second thought, I didn't need to.
あいつは、
いや
Nothing.
とにかくちゃんと謝ってきて。
Oh.
連絡先とか知らないの？
Yes, I actually think we do have his number.
じゃあすぐにでも連絡取れるじゃない。直接会って謝るのよ。
Excuse me.
じゃないとルースと出禁にしちゃうからね。
I'm banning you from Roost. Okay, Ray. Now that was something I could not abide. And knowing Ray, he might really do it. I didn't understand why it pissed him off, but then again, he always took issue with my behavior. Since recent developments with Ikuina were already on my mind, I simply told myself this was the perfect opportunity. Oh gosh, I'm afraid. Nothing's good gonna happen. Nothing's good because I can't talk. I headed back to my apartment where I called him on my cell. Oh, is he not? But it just rang and rang. So instead, I got dressed and headed out. Ooh, something bad happened to the homeboy, didn't it? This ain't looking too hot. This ain't looking too hot. Under the clear blue sky, I ambled down the sidewalk in the direction of the flower shop. Eventually I found it, the wooden building with the big glass panels. I peered in through the window. No sign of Ikuina. As I pulled the door open and stepped inside, a female clerk ran over to me.
いらっしゃいませ。
Oh.
何かお探しですか?
What? Sorry. Why do most of the female characters in this game, even the old lady from the candy shop, they all look like they cannot be bothered? Which honestly, same. But also, I'm like, dang. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna...
イクイナさんは
Ikuina-san?
イクイナくんはお休みです。しばらく休むと連絡がありました。
Ooh.
そうですか。どう
I love how he's like, is Ikuina-san here? It's like he just goes, Ikuina-san. Oh, I love that. And with that, I walked out. If he was skipping work, then he was probably cooped up in his house working on his art. I pulled my phone from my coat pocket and sent him a text asking to talk. Now all I could do was wait. And so, I headed downtown to wander around and drink some booze. Every time he does that, I'm just like, my anxiety spikes and I'm like, oh, Towa. Please don't get blackout drunk again. During the day, the downtown area looked dull and drab. Work it. Work. Sorry. The sunlight illuminated all the dirt and stains normally concealed under the darkness of night. As I walked down the washed-out street, I spotted something wriggling in the corner of my eye. There were two figures wrestling in a dark alley. Were they that unbearably... Were they that unbearably horny right here in the middle of the day? Oh. I was just going to pass by, but then I heard a groan and stopped short. It was a male voice, and it sounded like he was in pain, not the throes of pleasure. Curious, I turned in the direction of the alley. One man was lying on the ground, while the other man straddled him. The man on top had both hands raised over his head, holding something that glinted in the sunlight. A knife, maybe. I wasn't scared. I walked over to them, the man with a knife left to his feet. Then he took off down the alley like a bat out of hell. I could smell something in the air. His residual scent, perhaps. As his footsteps retreated into the distance, the man on the ground let out a whimper. On closer inspection, I could see a medicine vial on the ground beside him, along with a strangely shaped knife. Its blade was curved outward. Oh, interesting. I crouched down and examined the victim. He was still moaning and twitching, dozed with something probably. The man who fled must have drugged him in order to try and stab him. Injured while lying on the street unconscious. The same thing nearly happened to this guy. Picked up the vial and the knife. The knife was a foldable one, so I tucked the blade away and then put the vial in my pocket. Over time, the victim would sober up and go back to his regular life. His attacker wasn't really trying to kill him. I knew this because I recognized the smell in the air, and I knew what it was. I turned back and headed out onto the main street. Oh boy. Oh, we're back here. We're back full circle. Eventually I arrived at the high-rise condo building I'd woken up in once before. The room number was 1403. I passed through the lobby, then rode an elevator up to the 14th floor. Then I walked down the hall until I reached the door with 1403 on the number plate. I leaned in close to listen for any movement. No dice. That didn't necessarily guarantee that no one was home. I grabbed the knob and slowly twisted it. Naturally, it was locked. I crouched down on the spot and pulled my lockpick wire out of my coat pocket. I lightly bent the tip, then inserted it into the keyhole. Sorry. Don't say anything. I'm a child. Okay, sorry. I learned how to pick locks when I was in the Takatsato Gumi. They taught it to us so we'd be able to break into debtors' houses if they refused to answer the door, but in most cases people would just bust the doors anyway, so it wasn't especially useful. Following my instincts, I worked the Sorry. 1 second. Yum, 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 yum. Okay. Following my instincts, I worked the lockpick, and when I felt it give, I pulled the wire out. Then I stood up and tested the knob again. The door opened. I walked in and swiftly pulled it shut behind me. Like last time, the hall was overflowing with plants. I stepped into the house without taking my shoes off. Then I followed the hall to the room at the end and opened the door. There, I found the living room I remembered from last time. Like before, the walls were lined with potted plants, and there was the bed I had once woken up in. I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid! Not to mention the distinct, unique smell that filled the room. It was all exactly as I remembered it, with one significant difference. The plants had all died, including the ones in the hall. The floor is littered with petals, pruning shears, a knife, and other gardening supplies. Almost like they were abandoned in the middle of a project. I pulled out the knife I'd retrieved from the alley and flicked it open. Then, I compared it to the knife on the floor, a perfect match. Except the knife on the floor had dark red stains on its blade. What were the chances I'd find another one of those strangely shaped knives entirely by coincidence? I refolded the knife in my hand and put it back in my pocket. On the floor, by the first aid kit, I could see dark droplets of liquid. They were dried, sticky, and faintly red. Blood, probably. I looked over at the bed and noticed something long, thin, and white mixed with the messy shit. Sorry. Woo! Okay. Don't bring it up, don't bring it up, don't bring it up. As I approached, I realized it was an unraveled bandage. It reminded me of the time I woke up here, then I looked over at the table. There was some sort of lump sitting there. At first I thought it was a chunk of rotten meat, but it wasn't. It was something I recognized, though it was crushed and discolored. I walked over to the table and examined the lump. It looked a lot like the wound photo posted on Roost's blog. Fraise had created it by making a flower look like a gash. Which would mean this condo could only belong to one person. And the lingering scent of the man who fled matched this room perfectly. Towa's like, you thought. Slowly, my lips curled in a smile. He's like, I got you. Ha! Fool. After the sun set, I headed straight to Roost. When I walked in, Ray spotted me and walked over.
Towa, どうだった? Ikuina さんと連絡取れた?
Let me tell you a story, Ray.
店に行ったらしばらく休むって連絡があったらしい。電話もしたけど出ない。メッセージは送った。
He frowned at me, concerned.
そう。Ikuina さん、Towa の一言がそんなにショックだったのかしら。
Listen, if that's all it took, he's way too weak to be flirting with Towa. I shrugged wordlessly, then I walked over to the counter and sat down. He followed after me and let out a sigh.
まあ、あとはもう待つしかないわね。あまりしつこくするのも良くないでしょうし。
Just then, I heard the door open and someone walked in.
いらっしゃいま。え、嘘?
Ah? Is it the man of the hour? Ray looked over at the door and immediately clapped a hand to his mouth. That's him, baby. Naturally, I turned and looked. Standing there with an awkward smile on his face was Igina.
こんばんは。
Oh, he looked a hot mess.
Ikuina さん、ちょっと、
Yeah,
大丈夫?
you okay, fam? He does not look good. Ray hurried over to him. He blinked in mild puzzlement.
何がですか?
あ、ほら、Towaが失礼なこと言っちゃったんでしょ? それで気を悪くしたんじゃないかと思って。
Way too weak. Way too weak to be flirting with Towa. He pursed his lips and shook his head slightly.
大丈夫です。
本当に?
Yeah, you sure?
でも、なんだかすごく疲れてるっていうか。
Yeah, I'd say he looks just a tad sick.
あ、これはちょっと寝不足で。
I'm just
本当に
sleep
大丈夫で
deprived.
す。
Oh no.
そう。だったらよかった。それじゃ、
Come on in, bestie. Ray led Ikuna to the counter. I could sense him looking at me, but I made a point of ignoring him. He sat down beside me, smiling faintly.
トワさん、メッセージ見ました。ありがとうございます。
ああ。
Yeah. I glanced at him out of the corner of my eye. Ray was right. The guy looked kind of gaunt. His eyes were sharper than
ご
before.
注文は?
アブさんを。
Towa
Yep.
は?
お任せで。
Surprise
はー
me.
い。店長!
The manager nodded and started making our drinks. I lit a cigarette, took a drag, and exhaled softly. Meanwhile, Igina stared down at the counter. I could faintly smell that peculiar meadowy scent. I looked over at the manager and found him pouring the absinthe.
でも、Ikuina さんが顔を見せてくれて、本当によかったわ。
そうなんですか。
Alright. Igina looked at Ray in surprise, then shifted his gaze to me.
おい。
I glared at Ray, who stuck his tongue out at me.
どうぞ。
Thanks, boss.
ありがとうございます。
Igina took his glass.
Ikuina さん、Towaに不満とか言いたいこと全部ぶつけちゃっていいわよ。どうぞ。
Oh, my children. With a joke and a wink, Ray grabbed a dishcloth and a tray and walked off. I sipped my drink in silence.
ウイスキーベースのオリジナルカクテルだよ。どう？
The manager called out to me to get my feedback.
うまい。
What? Oh no. I could tell the drink was tailored to my preferences. As for Ikuina, he took tiny sips of his absinthe. We sat there in silence, like perfect strangers. The air between us was tense. Then I sensed his gaze, and when I glanced over at him, our eyes met. He was looking at me with determination. What is this, Undertale? Sorry.
トワさん、
His tone was one of steadfast conviction.
俺をモデルにしてもらうことはやっぱりできませんか？
Chill. You need to calm down. I looked away without saying anything.
トワさんに見てもらいたいものがあるんです。
He grabbed the rucksack at his feet, pulled out a folder the size of a memo pad, and set it on the counter. Cigarette between my lips, I picked up the folder and opened it to find a stack of photographs the size of postcards. There were about 30 of them, and they all featured flowers made to look like wounds. As I flipped through, his art style began to evolve dramatically. They made the one posted to Roost's blog look tame by comparison. These new ones featured tacky, oversaturated colors and scattered petals. At this point, you couldn't really tell he was trying to imitate flesh wounds. Subjective opinions of his style evolution aside, his new work was brimming with a naturally raw passion.
どうですか？
Oh boy. Lena spoke hesitantly as he attempted to gauge my reaction.
悪くない。
It was my honest opinion. After all, it was hard to find an artist who could imbue their work with this much heat. It was reminiscent of an artist in his declining years. That's true. That's true. My response, a relieved smile crept up on Ikuina's face.
ありがとうございます。でも、俺ちょっと花から離れようと思ってて。
やめるのか？
はい。ちょっといろいろ抑えきれなくて、店に立つのも難しくなってしまって。
Ah, yes. He rolled up his sleeves. Both arms were covered in bandages from wrist to elbow. Red stains seeped through here and there.
気がついたら、花じゃなくて腕を。
Ugh.
花じゃ物足りなくなってしまって、どうしても我慢できなくて。
物足りなくなった。
本当に作りたいものは花の作品じゃないんです。それを実行するのは。
The foreshadowing is not looking hot. The foreshadowing is looking a little scary.
いけないことで、それは分かってるんだけど、でも。
He mumbled to himself under his breath. I put my cigarette out in the ashtray. It was time. Lena's catalysis. Is this supposed to be catalyst? Or is it catalysis? And it's a word I've never heard before, sorry. Had gone exactly to plan. Oh?
気が変わった。
Oh? お
あんたを描く気になった。
Exhaling cigarette smoke, I smiled at him faintly. He looked at me in shock. His lip quivered.
本当に?
Oh boy. Oh god, it's terrible. Oh no. Out of nowhere, Ikuna grabbed his glass and downed his absinthe in a single swallow.
ちょっと大丈夫？
You okay, fam? He is great, Ray. He is great. Ray came rushing over like he was supervising us from a distance.
大丈夫です。すみません。
Okay, the shadows, I'm like, my eyes darting back and forth. Wiping his mouth with the back of his hand, he bowed to Ray. Then he looked at me with feverish eyes.
嬉しいです。本当にありがとうございます。どうして気が変わったんですか?
Yeah, you know, explain. I fixed him with a meaningful look.
もし俺が酔いつぶれたら、 お前が解放してくれるんだよ。
Eh? Is that an invitation? Towa's just like, ooh. Instantly, the color drained from his face. His expression was stiff with a blend of hope and despair.
その前に酔いつぶれないように気をつけなきゃって。
Uh-oh.
生稲さん
I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Ikuna jumped to his feet, whipped some money out of his wallet, and slapped it down on the counter. Then he grabbed his rucksack and headed for the door. Ooh.
やだ。どうしたのかしら。まだ具合が悪かったとか
Ah, Ray murmured in concern as he watched Ikuina disappear outside. Towa caught a homie. I let out a dry laugh and raised my glass to my lips. Ooh, Towa's spicy, bruh. He's just like, I'm not gonna say that I know what I know, but I'm also gonna say it this way. I left Roost and ambled down the bustling Koa Street. But I still had some time left. Maybe I should go see him before I go home. Alright. Okay. Let's see, let's move. Where are we going? Morase. Morase. Alright. Wait, that's the only option, right? Here to here. Yeah. Directed exploration. Love that.
Oh, Towa.
Hey, bestie. Ooh. Oh, this is is this a mistake? Yeah, that was like a typo, but no one said a thing. Okay. Gotcha. In that case, here have a palate cleanser. He handed me a can of coffee as per usual. Ray told me about Ikuina-san. Did you go to the flower shop? But they said he won't be coming in for a while. And I bumped into him at Roost. Oh, so you did find him. How did it go? Nothing really happened. You sure? Ray told me all about it. Said you rejected his flowers, so chances are good he's feeling hurt. He didn't seem that way to me. Well, if he's not bothered by it, then I guess it's no big deal. By the way, is something going on with you? You seem to be in an oddly good mood. Then you must be seeing things. Am I? Because I suspect you might be up to no good. And if I'm right, then you better dial it back. you better work. You better not. Taku will not have. Oops. Sorry about that. Taku will not have no mess in his house. That night, I was lying on the sofa, wasting time like always. Listening to the TV's drone, I navigated to Roost's blog on my phone. As I scrolled through the new articles, a name caught my eye. Ooh. Fraise. The posted artwork was unlike anything that had come before. Instead of modifying a flower to look like a wound, he had placed a single strawberry on top of white fabric. First of all, that doesn't look like white fabric. That looks literally like a paper towel. That is not a fabric item. But you know what? Whatever. Nothing more. For a moment, I questioned whether this was really a Fraise piece, but then I recognized what it had in common with the rest. There was a half-inch incision on the surface level of the berry, spread apart to reveal a sliver of the flesh inside. In my view, this was a more direct message than any of the others had been. Why had he chosen to use fruit instead of flowers? Strawberry flowers, the little white ones. Did strawberries have a meaning in flower language too? On a whim, I looked it up. Oh, here we go. Esteem and love. Oh boy, sure enough, there it was. You make me happy. Ooh! Fraise knew I visited this blog, so maybe Maybe this was a message directed at me. Message from Ikuina, the artist Fraise, the flower sender. It was just past 3 a.m. I grabbed a bottle of booze off the floor, brought it to my lips, and took a swig. I loudly chugged the lukewarm fluid, then lowered the bottle. I needed to get as drunk as possible. Mood. So, oh, mercy on me. I'd already pre-gamed at Roost earlier, so by the time I pulled my coat on and left the room, I was unsteady on my feet. I had no guarantee that it would happen tonight, nor any proof, but something in my gut told me it would. That was why, back at Roost. He said, I know it's you. I'd intentionally made that comment. As far as I could tell, Igina was reaching his limit. Flowers could no longer sate his hunger, and he would surely prowl the streets, looking for prey passed out in the gutter. Pressing a hand against the wall for support, I passed through the waiting room and out of the building. Towa is wild. Like, I just want to say, Towa's literally so... I'm more afraid of Towa than anybody else in this entire game. Towa is like too scary. I was pretty sure I knew how to lure Fraise out of hiding. I smirked to myself like a hunter setting a snare. Ooh. I'm telling you, he's so crazy. Oh, he is crazy. Where did he pass out before? Okay. Let's go visit some places first. I can't move out through the opportunities. Okay, the park was silent, devoid of human life. Okay. Nobody here. Okay, why do they give me these options? You know? Give me false hope in the club. As I staggered along the building walls down the street, someone tapped my shoulder from behind.
Towa-san!
Who are you? I thought I met everybody already, minus the other guys. I don't know who you are. He looks like a host, so nah, I'm going somewhere. It's like, listen, I'm going somewhere. He seems a little too normal to be in this game, though. Oh boy. It's called... Who is this person? I've never seen this person in my life. Alright. Yep, here we go, besties. I've never seen this person. He seems a little too nice. So, bless your little heart. Igarashi. Oh gosh, here we go. While the night was still dark, I staggered drunkenly into an empty alley. Without a moment of hesitation, I laid myself down on the filthy ground. Memory served, this was right around where I had passed out last time. Oh boy. With the chill of the concrete at my back, I gazed up at the inky sky, then closed my eye. With my vision obscured, my other senses sharpened. Smell. I could smell something decaying, the reek of the sewer, the humid air. Hearing, I could hear the bustle of the city in the distance, the wail of ambulance sirens, the clink of cans as someone dug through a garbage bin. I started to dissociate until I was just a series of stimuli floating there, unattached to my physical form. Oddly enough, it was peaceful. Sus. Then, as my drunken brain struggled to function, I heard the sound of footsteps. I could feel the vibrations through the ground. Judging from the speed at which they were moving, Someone was walking very carefully. The footsteps approached, then stopped short beside me. I caught a whiff of a familiar scent, like absinthe, but slightly different. But I couldn't open my eye. After all, I was passed out drunk. They crouched down and opened the front of my coat. Then they quietly pushed my shirt up and I felt a faint sting of pain in my midsection. Did they cut me? Silence followed after that, but I could feel them there, right next to me. After a long pause, they moved once more. This time, something touched my cheek. Fingers grasped my chin, trying to force my mouth open. Since I was playing possum, I couldn't fight it. My mouth opened and a small amount of liquid trickled inside of me. Oh, interesting. I almost swallowed it on reflex, but managed to stop myself, instead holding the bitter liquid in my mouth. They grabbed my arm, put it around their shoulders, and attempted to haul me up. While they were distracted with that, I turned to my head and spat out the liquid. They put an arm around my waist and started walking slowly, as if they were just escorting me home. And since I was pretending to be unconscious, I let them drag me along. He is so, like, scary. Towa. Suddenly, I was flung down onto a soft surface. On the way here, I had opened my eye faintly to confirm what I already knew. This was the same condo from last time. I could hear someone breathing heavily over me. Something cold touched my cheek. Surely he knew, right? The room smelled strongly of that almost absinthe scent. It had to be his natural odor. Oh boy. Oh boy. Quietly, I opened my eye.
Towa-san.
Oh boy. I have fear. I have fear. There in the dimly lit room, I locked eyes with Ikuna. He was lying on a bed and he had crawled up on top of me. I'm getting nervous. I'm just like pressing a knife to my cheek.
本当はずっと起きてたんでしょ？
お前だって分かってて連れてきたんだろ。
I have fear. He spoke matter-of-factly, like I hadn't even noticed the knife.
やりたきゃやれよ。もう耐えられないんじゃないのか。
Oh boy. Trembling, Ikuna bit his lip and lowered the knife pressed to my cheek.
全部お見通しってことですか？
Towa's scared. Hold on. I need to pause. I need to pause, like, myself. Towa's supposed to be the protagonist of this game, right? But he is so scary. He's like everybody's just like, Towa! And Towa's just like, nope. He's literally like, he feels like both like the protagonist and the antagonist of this game because he has like absolutely no fear and no consideration of his own well-being, so he just like rolls out and he's just like, all right. And I'm like, I'm afraid. It's the what's the name, the it's like poor blah blah, they're stuck in a team with them. It's like, oh no, you're stuck in a room, oh, you're locked up in here with me. You know, you think I'm trapped with you? Oh no. That's what it feels like. And I'm like, okay, I have fear for Ikuina, but I also, you know, have fear for Towa, even though I should know better that Towa can take care of himself for the most part. I have fear. But, you know, Ikuina is the unfortunate, undateable character choice of slow damage. Because there is one of those every time in nitro+chiral, at least from what I remember. he's the Mizuki of I feel bad when I mention him, Mizuki of Dramatic Murder. But anyway, Ikuina is the Mizuki of slow damage. Give me a second, Give me a second, I need to drink. It was like it wasn't hard. Oh gosh. His eyes shimmered with trepidation. Quietly, I looked back at him. I gazed deeply into his eyes, trying to read every tiny shift in emotion. If I could get him locked onto me, I could take control. Honey, I can't lie. Ikuina looks like he's about to pass out from the nervousness of everything. I think you're good. I think you're good. Right now, he was looking at me like he was entranced. But this was no superpower. It was just a skill I picked up from my mother. The art of conversation and negotiation. I had next to no memory of my past, but I could vaguely remember her repeatedly teaching me how to talk to people. She described it as a way to get close to someone without misreading their intentions. According to her, the human heart was fragile. She ain't wrong. I was probably only this good at it because I had inherited this talent from my mother. As far as I knew, she was adored by everyone around her. Though, she probably never imagined I would use those same skills for something like this.
ただの願望じゃない。絶対に叶えてはいけないような歪み切ってねじ曲がった願望だけを俺は。
So scary.
お前もあるんだろうな。花なんかじゃ満たされない何かが。
Yeah, Iguna looks like he's gonna like piss himself. Like.
吐き出せ。そうしたら書いてやる。
Ooh. That's kind of spicy, I can't lie. Towa's spicy, okay? He's spicy in the club. Guina slumped his shoulders weakly. The knife in his hand fell to the bed.
さあ、話せ。
俺は
Ooh. Oh boy. Okay. Here we go, besties. This is what we want. Okay, what we want here. Ugh.
それで。
いえ。
Okay. Provoke him. Okay, so it's not. It doesn't give me a cheat sheet because I guess this is the spicy part. But if I provoke him, well, we're kind of like in a good position because now it's kind of like we've made him naked because now we've told him we know. Basically, we've deducted everything, right? So it's either I provoke or show affection. I wonder if okay, we're gonna be spicy. We're gonna show affection.
ポジティブ。なるほど。
はい。
Thank you, Mayu.
呆れるな。
Yeah. Give me the tea.
これは。
Oh? Is your house covered in plants because you're trying to distract yourself? It's also a hobby of mine. So his hobby or his flowers are his hobby, and weird. I don't know. Queen is really weird. That's why it's like, it's one thing to question guys like Rei and Taku, because Rei and Taku are like, to an extent, their levels of humanity are normal, right? Like at least on the surface level. But Ikuina is like, he's overly pleasant. That's how you know he's like weird. That's how you know he's weird. So I think, I don't want to keep doing positives though. You know what I'm saying? So I think I need to. I think I have to get something out of him, because otherwise we're not gonna get anywhere. Yes. Okay. Oh, he dropped a little. His smoke is moving sluggishly, and its color is dark and dreary. Why did you come to Shinkomi? Did you figure you could achieve your goal here? Okay. We have to. Okay. Then we have to calm. I think we have to calm him down then. I hope I'm doing this right. I can't deny that the city tends to attract a certain type of person.
Hi.
Yes, that's what I thought. Ooh, okay, it raised a bit.
Yosh.
Okay. No, let's. I'm just gonna provoke a little bit, just to see, because this is like the first time I'm doing like a. This is the first actual interrogation. But if you make one wrong move, it's over. You'll end up lying on the pavement yourself. I know that, I do, but I'm just so miserable. Oh. Ah, darn. Okay. Forget it. All of a sudden, I lost interest and fell silent. Okay, so let's try this again. Okay, so I think I do. Okay, so it does look like I have to essentially. Okay, so I can't push too hard, I guess. Okay, we're gonna give it a try. I'm glad that this isn't so permanent though, because I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. So let's see. I can't make him drop so much, but it's like. Okay, let's try. I wonder if I shouldn't say some words, is what, like when I shouldn't delve once. Okay. Well then, do you like hurting people while they're unconscious? No. Okay. Okay, let's try this. Let's see. Surely something must have gotten you into this hobby. What was the trigger? Okay. It dropped. Okay. Because you're trying to distract yourself. It's a hobby. Okay. I think I can keep doing this. So let's just, I'm gonna provoke him a little. Really? Yes. Ooh, wow, he dropped really far. Why did you come to Shinkomi? Did you figure you could achieve your goal here? Well, okay. I'm gonna make him drop. Hold on, I'm gonna see what this does. After all, nobody here bats an eye when people get hurt or killed. Wow, that was absolutely not. Okay, I'm gonna push it all the way down. I'm gonna see. If you make one wrong move, it's over. You'll end up lying on the pavement yourself. But I'm just so miserable. Okay. I crushed him. I busted that guy. This sudden I lost interest in the outside. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Let's see. What if I do...
さあ、話せ。
俺は
Okay, let's see. This system's very interesting, I can't lie. Let's see. Okay. So, he just continually dropped when I prodded him.
それで、
いえ
ポジティブに。
He's anxious, so I guess. Okay, let's try positive and then I'll prod. But if that doesn't work either, I'm gonna click the positive and then not prod and just see. You described it as caring for people, so I doubt you have a... Okay. Okay, got it raised. It raised up. Okay. What if... I did a pot... You know what, let me not... I won't say anything.
それは
It's a hobby of mine. Okay, so... Let me continue.
ポジティブ。
Will it raise? Let me see if it'll raise the... So now you've reached a point where you can't lie to yourself anymore. Okay, yes, I'd say so. It's no use. Oh, okay. Good. His smoke seems pretty stable, both in color and movement.
そうだな。
Why did you come to Shinkomi? Did you figure you could achieve your goal
そ
here?
れは
Well, if I raise it, let me raise. I'm just gonna see what it does.
確かに。
I can't deny that the city tends to attract a certain type of person.
はい
Okay. Fluster him more? I don't want him to... Ooh, did I get it?
傷跡。
The scar. Okay, what the Ikuna use for his art? It's flowers. Wood. Well. Well. This is where the dummy in me comes out because I'm just like, I don't know. So there's a reason I don't play detective games. That's a lie. So let's see. What do I click? I can always do this again, honestly. So flower language, scars, flowers. So let's do this.
花言葉。
Ooh.
花言葉には詳しいのか。
好きなので奥が深いですよね。
There's gotta be more to
この
it.
傷跡を。
Okay. What did Igina... Stars. Okay, let's say... They keep talking about his scent, so I'm gonna click this one.
よもぎ。よもぎがそんなに好きなのか。
匂いを嗅ぐと落ち着きます。
Okay. There's gotta be
欲望
more.
の答えは。
Their true desire. I
傷。
have no idea. No. Help me out,
興味が
Towa.
あるのか。
Does it interest
それ
you?
は
Well,
求めているものは
You really want...
フレーズ。フレーズの意味は
What does phrase
イチゴ
mean?
って意味なんです。
この傷跡。
It's raising... See, it's raising the... It's raising the holding limit. But I'm not getting the euphoria to come out. Did I get one? Oh, finally. Or is that not good? Oh, got it!
本当に花が好きなのか。
それは本当は
Talk to me. Oh, good, good, good. We got one more. Okay, one more. Expose his secret. Okay. This was actually a detective game. It wasn't a baby.
待ってください。
Oh. This is like, sorry, one second. This is like jumping into New Carnival, and like that first scene in New Carnival, you know what I'm saying? It's all spicy, and then after that, everyone's like, I didn't realize this was a game. I'm so used to nitro+chiral just being like, you know. But to be fair, nitro+chiral is very story heavy in the first place. It's just really funny when it's just like, whoa, this is really story heavy. Like there's so much story to get through first before you get to the reward, if you know what I mean. Okay. All right, sorry.
Hi.
Okay. Yeah, no, let's just go. Let's just go. Ooh, are you into scars the same way I am? Well, oh, it dropped. Shoot. Oh, you can touch it. Ooh. This one.
Easy.
If it's you, I don't mind. Come on. Oh. You only raised the threshold. Ooh, do you want to give someone scars? Cut them? I'm starting to slip. Bait him. I think we should. Okay.
Negative.
Let's try. I'm kind of okay.
Towa-san.
Ooh. Taku's amusement. Yeah. Let's try it. Let's give it a try.
それでいい。
Ooh. Okay. Okay, the threshold dropped. Okay. Right. Okay, I'm gonna go for it.
楽しませろよ。
Oh, let's go. Okay, I got it. His smoke is lighter and softer now. Towa's so scary. He's the, like, we're interrogating Ikuina, but I feel like I'm being interrogated. Oh boy. Okay, make implications. Let's see. Plainly implication. Okay. So far, Ikuina has seemed like if you push him like too hard, like too blandly, he gets upset. So let's imply I've got a little leeway here. I've got some leeway. You've done a lot of cutting, so I'm guessing you're not into receiving. Okay, they dropped a little. Okay. Oh? let's go. Let's give it a try. I've got a good cushion. Or maybe you like both. Oh, that's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
If you tell it to me straight, I... Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
助けてやる。
Ooh. Okay, so annoyance. I don't know. I don't know if I should put, because he's not pushing up. Like, I hired the threshold. Okay, let's just do this. Oh wait, that's good. That's good. Did I get good? The wound. Ah. The symbol of his desire is. I don't know.
水鏡な女神。
No.
水鏡な女神って呼ばれてるな。
おかしな名前つけますよね。
Oh boy. It's gotta. Okay.
求めているものは。
I think it's. Is it this? It's this one, right? It has to be.
傷。
Ah, got it. No. Got it. Okay. My tiny little hamster wheel brain is.
本当に興味があるのは傷だよな。
はい。
あ
あ、全部わかった。
Oh, I'm afraid.
切り裂きたい。それがお前の望みなんだ。
あ、そうです。その通りです。
I have fear. I'm so Towa's just like, oh, is that a positive? Sorry. Got it. Got it. We got it. I know this is essentially like it's kind of hard not to win, if that makes sense.
俺が本当に欲しいものは花なんかじゃない。ただ
Ooh,
花で代用していただけなんだ。
he's sweating so bad.
俺は本当は人の肌につけられた傷が見たい。正確には傷の中身が。
I knew this dude was a freak.
そんなことはできないから。自分の腕を傷つけてもいいだけど、やっぱり物足りなくて。
Oh boy. He squinted his eyes as if enduring invisible pain. Then he smiled faintly. Oh gosh.
花は人みたいに抵抗しないのに、傷つければ体液を流してくれる。それがなんだか俺を受け入れてくれてるように感じて慰められた。花さえあればなんとかなる。
Oh my god.
そう思ってたのに、だんだん物足りなくなってきて、それに花を何度も潰してるうちに、なんだかかわいそうにもなってきて。
His hesitant gaze locked onto me.
不思議と人に対してはそう思わないんです。かわいそうって。人はすごく抵抗するから、なかなかいいようにできなくて、ずっとどうすればいいのかを考えてて、思いついたんです。切ってから手当てをする方法を。
Sorry, just like I'm just taking it all in.
それに怪我をさせてもまだ許されるんじゃないかと思って。それにこの町にはデスマッチがあるから、怪我人が道端に転がっていてもそれほど気にしないでしょう。
Ikuina, that was a lot of people. I can't lie. It was like so much that like we noticed it at the clinic. Okay.
今度は
Just so you
周りの目
know.
が厳しくて、とてもじゃないけどできません。だから 俺はこの町に来たんです。
That's why I came here to the Wild West.
治安が悪いって言ったらそれまでだけ
Oh
ど、新興
boy.
味は本土よりも
Oh
俺と似たような人が多いんじゃな
goodness
いかって思ったから。
gracious. Oh, no. Ikuina paused there to let out a breath. His brow tightly knitted.
人を傷つけるのは最小限にとどめて、あとは花で代用して、そうやって自分を騙しながらやってきたけど、
Oh boy's a freak.
物足りなくて苦しくて、誰かを切れば切るほどどんどん欲求が膨れ上がって、そんな時に偶然トワさんが倒れているのを見つけて、
Oh boy.
切りつけてから手当てをしている時に見たんです。
Oh.
体中に残る傷跡を。全身が震えるほどのショックを受けて、その時に自分の欲望をはっきりと自覚しました。ああ、俺本当は心ゆくまで誰かを切ってみたいんだって。切って
Therapy.
俺をこの部屋に連れ込んだのもそのせいか。
Grimacing, he nodded.
はい。ただあの時は切る目的じゃなくて、トワさんの傷跡をもっと見たいと思ったんです。
Jail. Sorry.
特に胸の真ん中にある大きな傷が。
Homeboy's afraid. Homeboy's afraid. Distracted by the memory, he swallowed. He's a freak. Yeah, the big one.
本当にすごくて、どうやったらこんな風になるんだろうって思って、トワさんを解放した後、興奮が収まらなくて眠れなくて、すぐにトワさんが倒れていたあたりへ戻って引き込みをしたんです。体中が傷だらけの人を知らない。
See, I'm telling you, it's like a whole stalker situation.
その時はトワさんの名前も知らなかったけど、ある人と知り合って、その人からトワさんのことを教えてもらって、ルーストにも行ったんです。
ある人？誰だ？
Yeah, who?
それはすみません。
You're not gonna stab you. I'm gonna stab you right now. I'm gonna stab you right now. Okay? I'm gonna. I need answers. Y'all hiding this from me. I need answers to move on. Guiltily, he averted his eyes.
匿名の花の配達もわざとか？
はい。トワさんに近づくために。でもどうして俺だっ
It
て分かったん
wasn't
ですか？
hard, Ikuna.
花言葉だ。気持ちを込めすぎる。
Exactly. Who the heck else is gonna know? Like...
正直気づいてほしいという気持ちもあったので。
So... He laughed bashfully.
それに、お前が配達した花からアブさんの匂いがした。
アブさん？ヨモギか。
Warm one. Ah.
この部屋の匂い、そうだろ。
そうです。ヨモギは昔ばあちゃんが家で育てていて、なんとなく好きなんです。だから香り袋を作って部屋のあちこちに置いてるんです。もちろん育ててもいますし。でも
You know, we're having like a normal conversation as if like he didn't do some weird stuff to me. To Towa. Oh gosh. And yet for some reason he was smiling.
俺、トワさんなら俺の気持ちを分かってくれるんじゃないかってずっと思ってました。
Homeboy really is a freak.
人の傷の中身が見たいっていう妄想だけが膨らんでいって、今はもう自分でもどうすればいいのかわからないんです。
昔からそうだったのか？
It was like a whole therapist. Have you always felt this way?
ただ子供の頃にすごくショックを受けたことがあって、
Oh boy.
多分それからだと思います。
You know, Towa should have just been a therapist instead of this weird self-destructive artist type, but you know what? Mood.
ショック。
What happened?
はっきりとは覚えてないんですけど、子供の頃、
Oh?
誰かをナイフで傷つけたんです。
No.
すごく怖くて逃げ出したくて、でも 傷から真っ赤な血が溢れるところはよく覚えていて、
Okay.
それが影響してるんじゃないかとは思います。
Oh boy. Oh boy. Once he was finished, Ikuina took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He was clearly trying to get his emotions under control. His flushed cheeks and pursed lips betrayed the shame he felt. Meanwhile, I shot a quick glance around the room. The floor and table were both littered with flower petals, as was the bed, as if for decorative effect.
やれよ。
At this, his eyes widened in surprise.
お前の願望は分かった。好きにしていい。
He stared at me in disbelief. No, I'm afraid. No, I'm scared. Towa! I rolled up one of my sleeves, revealing the scarred flesh of my arm, and offered it to him. Hand shaking, he slowly picked up his knife and pointed the tip at me.
本当にいいんですか?
Right. Hesitantly, he stopped the knife just before it touched my skin. My only response was a faint smile. His expression stiffened. Sorry. I can't think it. Sorry. I need to let out the nervous laughter. I'm so nervous. His expression stiffened, and he stared down at my bare flesh. Then, summoning his resolve, he pressed the blade to my skin. You know, it's funny. I've seen worse. I've read worse. I've watched worse. You know, I've seen a lot. But for some reason, when I'm real invested, I'm just like, you know, like when, like in Amori, where, you know, like if you need to wake up and escape white space, right? You have to like stab yourself technically. Every time I have to look away, as if I haven't seen worse in like movies and all that stuff. But I'm just like, not the child. I think I'm just like, so right now I've been so emotionally attached to Towa for like the past 3.5 playthroughs, and I'm just like, not the child, as if he's not a grown man, but you know what I mean. Not the boy. Slowly the line turned scarlet as beads of blood rose to the surface. Okay, you're a freak. Sorry. Mixed in with his heavy breathing, I could hear what sounded like a moan. As the cut stung, I donned a provocative sneer. I thrust my arm at him, goading him on further. The first cut must have flipped a switch in him, because this time he sank the knife into me without hesitation. Deeper, too. The sharp pain made me grunt. Unlike sex or violence, the pain of pierced flesh was especially vivid. It had been a while since I last felt it. As the thrill set in, I licked my lips. Now there were 2 fresh cuts side by side. The blood from the second overtook that of the first. A coppery smell filled the room. The knife fell to the bed, leaving a big red stain on the white sheets. Now it looked as though the petals were floating atop a sea of blood.
Towa-san.
This dude's a freak. He called out to me desperately. As the aching pain rushed to my head, I spread the cut wider with my finger. There was so much blood it almost looked fake. A sliver of pale pink flesh was visible deep inside. Ikuina saw it and swallowed hard. He wants it. Ugh. He gazed at the cut like it was a long-lost lover. This was what he had been yearning for. Gently, he took my bloody arm, spread the cut, and gazed inside hungrily. Meanwhile, I picked up the knife off the bed and slashed the back of his hand with no warning. Startled, he pulled his hand away and looked at me. With a With a dare. This is okay. Sorry. I need a moment. Because you know when you like I mentioned earlier, it's like you play these games because you're like, oh, it's like spicy BL, and I'm just like, I'm really like, I got more than what I bargained for. I got like buy two get one free kind of thing. Because like, and actually like this scene is actually a lot more like, I don't want to say sensual because that's, but also yes, but it's like, it's a lot more like what is it called? It's making the blood rush because it's just like, because of the nerves and the anxiousness that come along, because you're just like, what's gonna happen? Because it's, the situation is like very risky, like anything can go wrong, but it's also consensual. So it's like, well, I mean, they're not, you know, it's not like they're fighting it, but it's just like a you know, kind of thing, right? You know what I mean? So that's why I'm just like, oh, have mercy. Okay, I do like crazies, so you know, as in yanderes are my favorite deres anyway. I don't know why I'm acting like, you know, this game's gonna take me forever. Because I'm talking, and also Towa scares me, so with a daring grin, I lick the blood from the blade. Ooh. Oh lord. This seemed to open the floodgates, so to speak. This dude's a freak. This dude's such a freak. He took the knife from me and used it to cut my shirt in half. In doing so, he revealed the scar that ran straight down the center of my chest. He froze, paralyzed. I drew my bleeding arm to my chest and rubbed it back and forth in front of him. In a blink, a fresh coat of crimson paint was applied to my raised scars. We were both breathing hard, and I could see Ikuina's bulge through his pants. This was gonna happen. But right now, I wasn't looking for the rote pleasure of boring old regular sex. I wanted us to penetrate each other with the knife instead. So poetic. Neither of us said a word, but we both knew. Igina grasped the knife and pressed the tip just below my clavicle. I knew that was gonna happen. I think I remember it from the opening. Then in a single swift motion, he dragged it down towards my navel. The pain of this cut was far more intense than the last. It shot through the center of my body, making me gasp for breath. Now a new cut was bleeding, parallel to my chest scar. This dude's a freak. Breathing heavily, Igina tossed the knife away and ran both hands over my chest. He pressed his thumb to the fresh incision and slowly sprinted forward. Sorry. It's really descriptive, so I'm like actually thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you guys are seeing this. There's probably a big old censor here. If you don't hear me talking, I probably put music over this and press fast forward. I grimaced and groaned. It was an agony. Oh, it was agony. I felt like he was literally ripping me apart. Because he is, Towa. He is. And I loved it. My brain converted the bone-rattling pain into pleasure. In that sense, it was actually soothing. The more directly it injured my physical body, the better. And the more passionate, the better. I wanted more. I wanted the pain to dominate me. Sorry. Towa's one thing, but Ikuna, he's hitting a little too hard, you know what I'm saying? Ikuna spread my chest wound and let out a gasp that was both sensual and wistful. The cut wasn't deep enough to see my organs, but it was still flesh normally hidden from sight. Now that he was faced with the kind of wound he always dreamed of, Ikuna trembled. Wet with blood, the living flesh wriggled and breathed. pulled up. The moon is beautiful tonight. His voice was an entranced murmur. As I gasped for breath, I laughed and plucked the knife from his hand. Flustered, he stripped his clothes off and leaned in close to me. So close, our noses almost touched. Our lips almost touched. Ooh! Oh, it scares. Okay. Then I pressed the knife to his chest and dragged it down. Lena let out a small yelp and gritted his teeth. A single cut had formed on his otherwise flawless chest, crying tears of blood onto me. I sat up slightly and ran my tongue along the incision. I startled from the started. Ooh, man. Ooh, we are working. Okay. I started from the bottom and worked my way up. The taste of metal filled my mouth. You, Lord have mercy. Yeah. With his brows knitted tightly, he looked at me and smiled, still dripping fluid onto me. There, on his face, the pain and pleasure had jumbled together to create true joy. Oh no, I have no idea. He's like, you think I care? He's like, don't worry about it. I'm not too worried about it. At this, his smile. Hold on. Sorry. This CG is really pretty. Hold on. At this, his smile deepened. Slowly, he climbed further on top of me. We were now connected by our chest cuts. The old beneath the new. This was what we wanted. So it's so creepy, but it's also like so on brand of Towa to be this creepy. Okay. Our blood mixed between our bodies, wet and warm. The intermittent pain was proof that we were still alive. Every time he moved, our cuts caught on each other, spreading each other open. I could feel his soft flesh. The blood kept pouring, enveloping our bodies in damp warmth. Y'all ain't gonna bleed there for the whole time, right? Because one of you's gonna perish. One of you's gonna get jacked out. It's bad enough that we're in this situation. Okay. Ikuna took the knife and pressed it against my arm. As it moved, a new cut was born beneath it, red fluid trailing just behind. Next, I took the knife and cut him right back. As our chest cuts joined together, we continued to carve into each other's bodies, sharing the endless pain.
Towa-san.
Oh boy. As my consciousness grew fuzzy from the pain and blood loss, I started to laugh. Every breath I took was wet with blood. As my fingers clutched at the sheets, they brushed something. The scattered petals. I grabbed a handful and sprinkled them over Ikuina's back. As they fluttered down, a few slipped in between us and landed in the blood, which quickly stained them red. Almost like little chunks of meat had been torn off of us. I knew who was gonna say that too. Laughing, I grabbed even more petals and scattered them over his back. Over and over. With all the blood and petals and cuts, we must have looked insane. And in fact, we were. Yeah, I looked. I accepted that insanity and returned it with full force. My output was a work of art. I mixed other people's madness with my own, blended it, kneaded it, painted it. In that sense, my art was always a group project made with other people's vomit and excreta. I never knew people's insides could be so beautiful. I always yearned to see it. And you were the one to show it to me, Towa-san. Oh, that was a journey. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. I'll be surprised if Ikuina makes it past this night. Honestly. Slow damage. No, just joking. Oh boy. Oh? After Ikuina's euphoric episode, I scrapped together the last dregs of my conscious mind, then with shaking fingers, I placed a call on my cell phone. Luckily, Taku picked up, and 20 or 30 minutes later, he and Ray came running into Ikuina's condo. I went back home to the clinic, but Ikuina was taken to a different facility, the Takanokuchi medical office. Apparently, Taku made the call after he saw that my injuries were a lot worse than he was expecting. After cutting each other to shreds, Ikuina and I had lost a lot of blood, and if I had waited any longer to make the call, he said I might have died. But from my perspective, this sort of thing happened all the time. I would interrogate my art model to learn their darkest wishes, then I would grant them. Most people who were drawn to apply to the Euphoria modeling gig generally had some sort of unspeakable darkness buried inside. Birds of a feather flock together, as they say. If I determined that I was able to grant their wish and that they truly craved it from the bottom of their heart, I would respond to their email. That said, I rejected any desires pertaining directly to death. Not that I was afraid to die, but there was no coming back from it. Once I was dead, there was nothing left to look forward to. I could generally find out if someone's desire was the real deal by talking to them about it. It helped that I could observe their emotional reactions through their smoke. If it wasn't the real deal, then I called the whole thing off on the spot. Thus far, I never made the wrong call. By making use of my conversational skills and their smoke, I could get a near-perfect read on people. This made them easy marks to manipulate. No one who modeled for me ever spoke of their euphoric episode to a third party. I only chose the ones who I knew wouldn't turn around and regret it later. That was why I often went a few months in between pieces. Why was I so committed to drawing people's dark desires? You don't have to answer that, Towa. You know what? I believe in your artistic process. You are committed to the craft. You know, I'm sorry. Me sitting there being like nervous the whole time too. Well, for one thing, it interested me, and for another, I lived for the exact moment when my model's dream came true, and their every trace of rationality melted away like butter. Understandable. Basically, he watches the homie fall into madness, and that's pretty understandable, you know. And we're never seeing Ikuina ever again. I'm gonna tell you that right now. He was Mizuki'd, absolutely. Man, that was so good. Oh my gosh, sorry. I wasn't sure how the tea was gonna go, you know what I'm saying? That's why I was just like, wow. Okay. That was a wild ride. Okay. After Taku patched me up back at the clinic, he ordered me to stay and recuperate until I regained my strength. This, too, always happened after a euphoric episode. He would hover at my side and nurse me back to health. And since he already did my laundry and cleaned my apartment, it wasn't much extra work. But Ray warned him not to neglect the clinic patients too much. According to Ray, Taku was a kind and generous person who tended to get tunnel vision when he focused too hard on one thing. He and I had known each other for a long time, but even then, Ray felt he was often overly protective of me. I mean, I mean, after a week of medical treatment, I was able to sit upright again. And although I was in less than stellar condition, I started camping out of my room to paint. Before Ikuina's contribution faded away entirely, I puked it all out of my system, steadily drowning my white canvas in paint. Now that I had entered the painting stage, I became a single-minded robot. Neither Taku nor Rei tried to interact with me, they just watched from the doorway. Anytime they tried to speak to me while I was painting, I just ignored them. I didn't turn the TV on like normal, nor did I take smoke breaks. If at any point my brush fell still, it was to stare blankly into space or pass out on the floor. By this point, Taku and Rei had given up trying to change me, so they just let me do my thing. Only once I finished my art, whether that was in a week or a month, would I leave my apartment. This time, it took 2 weeks. What you got, Bessie? Barely ate or drank the entire time, so I was emaciated and weak. Since it wasn't safe for me to be walking around in that state, Taku and Rei demanded that I contact them as soon as my art was finished. Still seated in front of the easel, I set down my paintbrush and pulled my phone out of the pocket of my coveralls. First of all, okay, before we get through this, I'm so mad at Towa because he paints with oil paints. That paint, him using his dirty oil paint covered fingers on his cell phone. Outrageous, because that paint is impossible to get off anything, phone included. So I'm mad. I'm mad because it's so messy, and it's like when it gets on your fingers, he should actually be wearing something because the paint is pretty bad. You know, some of it is really toxic. You know, that's why, you know, Sistine Chapel. That's why he went slightly blind. Not slightly blind, that's why he started going blind, because the paint was getting in his eyes when he would draw on the ceiling portions, and that's why he like didn't really finish it. It's like he was going blind. You know, the paint was very toxic, you know. I mean, to this day, if you look at the paint caps of like even acrylic paint, it's just like these certain paints are highly toxic because of the color and the pigments and the stuff, you know, the coloring pigments. Like, I'm just, anyway, sorry, that's the nerd in me again. Let's get back to it. Sorry, let's get back to the BL. Okay. Oh, mercy. My fingers stained black with paint. Slowly typed out a message to the Taku-Rei group chat. A short while later, I heard the elevator arrive at my door. Loud footsteps approached my door. Then it burst open and Taku ran in dressed in his white lab coat. Taku's like, I have the water! I have the water! Oh goodness. I nodded. With a sigh of relief, Taku walked up to me. Taku's so sweet. He's definitely like a mother hen type though. You know. He's definitely like the best friend character though, because there's always a best friend archetype in nitro+chiral games. Those of you who played it, you guys are like ignoring me, but but yeah, there's always a best friend character. They usually get like the short-ended route, but I believe Taku is the quotation marks best friend character of this game, or childhood friend character, I should say. I want alcohol. Honey, you are not getting alcohol. That's his baby. What kind of baby? We'll let the game decide. He pulled his cell phone out of his coat pocket. The conversation brought all my senses back to life. Overwhelming fatigue set in at once. When I was painting, I scarcely felt the need to eat or use the restroom. Literally at all. Yeah, that's called a manic episode. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not, please. This is all nervous laughter. In case you guys, forgot about my warning, but yes, I have a lot of nervous laughter, so. Then, once I finished, it would all come crashing down on me. Too exhausted to stand, I slumped over at the easel. Yeah, maybe you should. But once he was done talking to Ray, Taku walked over and crouched down beside me. He pulled my lower eyelid down, pressed the palm to my forehead, and checked for a few other vitals. Yeah, okay, as much as a dude who was like bleeding out for like a hot minute. Then he looked over at the canvas in front of us and gasped, "Ooh, this is pretty." What I had painted was a bloody, fleshy flower in full bloom. Observed from a distance, it looked like a human silhouette. Taku stared at it for a moment, then looked back at me. Taku said, "I don't know nothing about this, but it looked good." I appreciate. Taku is like, I support you. Taku's like, I support you, but I kind of don't like it. I looked down at my feet without responding. Taku had never approved of me sleeping around, but he knew no amount of chastising me would get me to stop, so he'd given up. To him, the Euphoric episodes were like a sex thing. Granted, this wasn't altogether wrong, but I was a grown adult who didn't need to be babied. I was starting to think Ray was right about Taku being overprotective. I like how, like, Towa is comparing this to, like, Taku, like, thinks I'm just fooling around, and it's like, maybe he is overprotective, and I'm like, Towa, you're like, you literally almost died, of course. Of course, Taku's just like, can you, like, chill? Oh gosh, okay. Oh. He must have interpreted my silence as complete and utter exhaustion. He patted me lightly on the shoulder and straightened up. Right as he opened the door to leave, he seemed to remember something. He turned back. Are you really telling them to I love this funny little found family they have going on here. I think it's cute. It's like, oh, so you know the guy who you just like ripped to shreds with a knife and like essentially was like he was essentially your stalker, and then you just like got it on with him in like a creepy like blood ritual sort of way. Yeah, he was discharged from the hospital, so he's good. Oh, Christmas is coming. We should buy him a gift. I swear that'll be the next line. Christmas party, you say? You know what Christmas means. I don't want a lot for Christmas. Okay, sorry. It's still March. I'm so sorry. It's not even November yet. I'm Filipino. We start in September against my will. Sorry. Shaking his head, Taku walked out. In his absence, silence filled the room. I slowly rose to my feet, grabbed the remote off the coffee table, and switched on the TV. All my life, I despised silence. For some reason, quiet places felt intensely suffocating and always made me break out into a cold sweat. TV static, however, was reassuring. It always filled the void with its loud, endless drone. I dropped down on the sofa, then grabbed my cigs and lighter off the table. Ikuina had been discharged, but I felt nothing. My interest in a given art model ceased after the Euphoric episode was over. Like a one-night stand, my life moved on without them. Cold. It's okay, Ikuina was just like... That sounds terrible. I always say, whenever I play these dating sim games, you've probably caught on, but like any character who's like a little too into you, like they're too into you, like no give, it's like anything you say or do, they're like, oh my gosh, yes, oh my gosh, I'm gonna buy you flowers, so I really think you're beautiful. Oh no, that's a red flag. You know, no gusto, no gusto. So Igina was already just like, I'm like, not good, you know. So I understand Towa. It's just like, yeah, once is good enough. You know. Woo, okay. I lit a cigarette, took a long drag, and slowly exhaled. Come to think of it, I'd received a few more model inquiries while I was painting. I decided to look at them later. For now, I would enjoy the bitter taste of nicotine on my tongue. Towa literally, like, slow damage. Towa played Ikuina though. He played homeboy like a fiddle. Fiddle. Please. Grant me thy salvation. Father John? Sorry. I'm... Oh boy. Yeah? Howdy? Chapter 2. Doctor. Let's get it. Let's go! Okay. Okay. So actually, oops. No. Let us... I think we're good for this episode, actually. Oh, here we go. I was just like, what is going on here? Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. Let's see. Okay, save, spare. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Oh, so that's how it was. Okay, I was just like, what on earth? Ah, darn, I should have gotten a screenshot of the... It's okay, it's okay. Okay. Yes. Before we end here, though, let me... I was gonna see if I could view the CGs, but I guess not. Let's see here. Let me make sure I didn't miss nothing. Okay, yeah. Okay, so before we go, thank you for joining me again today for episode 3 of Slow Damage. That was a very exciting ending to chapter 1. I expected no less. So I'm very excited to start up on chapter 2, which seems to be about Taku, since it says doctor on it. But it seems like this game is following a slightly different how do I say, method, if that makes sense. Because, you know, traditionally, any kind of dating sim game, you know, you kind of just go in, you do the intro, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna pick somebody. And then you just kind of go through the routes like a branched route, which is why I have problems watching adaptations of dating sim games or gacha games, like games that have a little too much going on story-wise, that that they cannot fit into like a traditional animated series. I talk about it all the time. People probably think I'm annoying, but I will never shut up about it, because that's why I can't just say like, oh, watch the anime, because half the time the anime is not representative enough of the game source material. You know, happens all the time. These days it's a little better. You know, people care a little more about the animated adaptations of games. But yeah, when it comes to like boys love stuff in the first place, though, if it's kind of like explicit or dark, it just never works out because of censorship in animation, and that's just how it is, you know, unless you do like an OVA or something, which is off in the darkness anyway. But anyway, okay, that was a very, very exciting episode. I really enjoy the fact that Towa is an artist, and that sounds so like pandering. You know, I'm so glad he's an artist. But no, I do actually like that point of the game, because the way Towa functions as a human being in the first place, he is highly damaged, he is highly self-destructive, so it would make a lot of sense that he is just like, he kind of like doesn't exist properly. He doesn't really function properly as one would usually say about a normal person. Like what we expect a regular human to be, societal wise, social norms wise. Also, this game does take place very, very Wild West, dangerous town, city. It takes place during a time of like great uncertainty, and everyone's just like, you know, every man for himself kind of thing. So it would make sense that Towa is also extremely like unafraid of danger. He doesn't really feel like, he doesn't feel emotions, or his morality is not as like leveled as like a regular human being that we societally think should function. Towa is quite terrifying, and I love that he is the protagonist of this game, and I think he's so interesting, and we don't know all that much about Towa because he has amnesia. So this is so cool. So I am curious to see if the way this is set up, if I'm correct, if it actually is like we go down the list and we actually go down the whole list, and there is no like full, it's not like a traditional like branching out path where I have to start the game basically 4 different times for each different man. Because like I said, in Dramatical Murder, if I remember the system correctly, it's like there's the prologue, and then from there you choose your mans, and then you complete the 4. Then there's an extra. There's always like a secret man. There just always is. So there's always a 5th extra secret true route man, and I'm wondering if that's the case for slow damage. It doesn't seem like it, because it also seems like slow damage is kind of set up a different way than your usual nitro+chiral game, and I love to see it. So this has been a really fun experience. Thank you guys for watching, by the way. I'm really enjoying that people seem to really enjoy the slow damage playthrough, so I'm excited doubly for it, that that there are people watching and experiencing it with me, me playing it for the first time. This has been a lot of fun. I can't wait to play some more. I would like to play a little faster, but you know, my schedule is always really packed, so I have to manage that carefully. But I will play as fast as I can because I want to get through this game. I want to meet everybody. I want to have a good time, you know. So, but all right, thank you everyone. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay well. Remember, keep on smooching though. My podcast about BL. You Can Smooch Tho is available on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Season 2 will start sometime soon. We are starting to get into production of Season 2, but the completed Season 1, along with the Season 1 special, is up online on all those podcast streaming services. I'm thinking about putting it on YouTube, but we'll get to that bridge when we cross it. And don't forget, keep on loving Slow Damage. Towa loves you. And I'll see you guys later. Thank you. Bye-bye.